Okay, so here we've got the hole dug for the septic tank itself. The guys actually got here before I did. That's why the camera picked up after they had dug the hole. Um, Basically, what they're doing now is they're laying gravel in. The tank will show up shortly, and the truck will drop the tank into the hole. So they got to get it perfectly level. They put down a base of gravel that the tank rests on, and then they fill around the sides of it with gravel and dirt. Right now, he's clearing a path so that the truck can come in, and that truck that just showed up is delivering the septic parts. So the tank is a conventional tank. It's a concrete tank, but it's got a whole bunch of added stuff to it. They've basically put, depending on the system you have, it's either UV lights or aerators or filters or a combination thereof. The particular tank that I have is a biosolutions tank, which is a filter. And here's the tank truck showed up. They put the outriggers on and lowered the tank in. Unfortunately, they found that the hole was actually a little too high, so they pulled the tank out, truck got in, and they're shoveling out some gravel to lower the hole. Basically where it was just a little too high for the pipe that was coming out to the bottom right side there. The tank goes in, and now it's good. And the green circular things they put in are the risers. Coming up after the risers, in between them, they're going to put the filter pod. But and they're moving the filter pod around in the background there. Now we're back to filling the tank. So the other thing that the county requires is that you have to actually fill the tank with water. They want to make sure that the tank doesn't leak. And now we've got dirt around the side of the tank that they're compacting in. The guys are unloading some more parts. They got hoses and whatnot. Now they're going to put some gravel down because apparently the top of the tank has to have gravel on it because the green pod thing, which I think is coming in shortly, is going to rest on top of that. So they're leveling all that out. And basically, yeah, there's the pod. There's the filtration pods. Basically, the way this tank works is the water in the tank is pumped up into that pod and sprayed over the top of it. Inside it contains a bunch of little sort of cloth filters. And then it trickles down through, and it does that a bunch of times, and then eventually that water gets pumped into the seepage pit. My installer tells me that this is one of the better of the systems, the biosolutions. He said it's sort of the Mercedes-Benz, as he puts it, of the system. And honestly, my turds don't need the Mercedes-Benz, but whatever. At the time when I got this permitted in 2009, there were only two possible systems that you could use because they had to be approved by LA County, and this was one of them. Today, there are apparently 5 different systems that have been approved, and but this apparently is one of the better ones. Some of the others are a little more complicated. Some of them are a little bit better because of the they rely entirely on gravity. This relies on an actual pump. We had a bit of an issue when the health department came out. That green pod in the original design was placed off to the side and uphill a little ways away from the tank. And unfortunately, that was the way they did it back in 2009. Then they realized it was better to just put it on top of the tank because the pump had to work less. There, now that they've opened the top, you can see the white filtering material inside. But as I was saying, so we wanted to move it to the top of the tank. The county inspector was there, and she was basically, oh, I don't know if I can approve this. I have to go back to somebody else. This is one of the most aggravating things about dealing with these guys is that nobody wants to make a decision on anything. So she defaulted back to the other inspector, and he said, well, that should be okay, but I want to talk to the inspector who was out there because I don't want to undermine anything she did. You know, there apparently was a bunch of back and forth. I walked away. I didn't want to deal with it. I let my septic installer deal with it because as it is, I'm already pretty much on edge with the health department with all the nonsense that they pulled previously regarding this whole thing and the fact that I even need to put one of these systems in. But we got it approved. We got it signed off. It's full of water. It's settled in. Then we backfill all around it. And we're going to build a retaining wall that kind of goes around all that as well to kind of dress it up and make it look nice. Again, it was L&S construction. They're out of Little Rock. Gave me a reasonable price. Guy was a good guy, Lawrence, who owns and runs the company, and they did good work, and I was very happy with it. I asked him to kind of smooth out all the dirt that they had dug up for the tank as best they could, and he did a great job. I'm very happy with these guys. It's you know, the headache and the nightmare of dealing with this stuff is just, this is what you got to deal with when you're building in LA. You know, the system's set up to make it as difficult as possible to justify all the excess fees. Coming up, the control module. And here we have it. Let's open it up and take a peek. Inside, this thing is jam-packed with a bunch of electronics and circuits and other stuff. I'm not a big supporter of overdoing technology and becoming dependent and relying upon excessive technology, especially when the older system and the older systems work. These are going to be prone to have problems like circuits and electronics always do. But that's what's required now. Welcome to LA County. Thank you for watching, and onward and upward.